A country can win a war, then lose the peace. Poland entered World War II because its independence had been promised. 6 years later, that promise reached a table in Crimea. Poland was discussed there, but Poland was not actually present. Its borders, government, and future were argued by others there. For many Poles, Yalta felt like another partition again in disguise. Not by armies this time, but by signatures and silence. So was Poland really sold at Yalta by its allies? By early 1945, Poland had paid almost everything a country could pay for freedom already by then. Its soldiers had fought abroad, its underground had fought at home, and its cities were broken. The Polish government in exile in London still claimed legal continuity from the pre-war republic after invasion. But on the ground, a different political reality was already being built behind the front line. The Red Army controlled Polish territory as it pushed westward toward the final defeat of Germany. With that control came Soviet-backed institutions, including the Lublin Committee and communist-aligned Polish leaders already inside Poland. That meant Poland entered Yalta, with two governments claiming legitimacy, but only one army controlling the map. If you want more stories about small nations trapped between empires, subscribe to Between Empires before we continue. This was the cruel difference between law and power at the end of World War II. London had recognition, memory, and sacrifice. Moscow had soldiers, territory, and administrative machinery inside Poland already. Before the conference even began, Poland's future had already been narrowed by facts on the ground. Yalta gathered Roosevelt, Churchill, and Stalin in February 1945 to organize post-war Europe after Germany's defeat. The official language spoke about liberation, democracy, borders, and security after the defeat of Germany itself. But for Poland, the meeting carried a darker issue: who would control the country after liberation? Poland did not have an equal seat when its own future was placed on the table. The eastern border was pushed toward the Curzon line, meaning Poland would lose vast eastern lands. To compensate, Poland was expected to move west, receiving former German territories after the war ended. A new provisional government was supposed to be reorganized, with democratic leaders included and free elections promised. On paper, this sounded like compromise. Borders adjusted, government broadened, elections guaranteed, and peace restored afterward. But paper promises mean little when the army enforcing reality belongs to someone else entirely on the ground. Could a free election truly be free when the strongest power already controlled the streets outside? The Western Allies did not simply wake up at Yalta and decide to abandon Poland carelessly. Their problem was that the battlefield had already given Stalin the strongest bargaining position in Eastern Europe. American and British forces were not in Warsaw, Lublin, Krakow, or the eastern borderlands then. They still needed Soviet pressure against Germany, and soon they wanted Soviet help against Japan too. Churchill pushed for Poland because Britain had entered the war after guaranteeing Polish independence in 1939. Roosevelt wanted a stable post-war order, the United Nations, and Soviet cooperation beyond Europe afterward and after it. Stalin wanted security, friendly governments, and borders that would keep future threats farther west permanently for decades. Each leader spoke of principles, but each also counted armies, voters, casualties, and leverage carefully at home too. For Poland, that was the tragedy. Moral debt did not equal military power at the table. The West could protest, negotiate, and demand promises, but it could not easily reverse occupation by diplomacy alone. After Yalta, Poland's map changed, and millions of lives were pulled across new borders afterward by force. Eastern lands that had belonged to interwar Poland were absorbed into the Soviet sphere after the war. In the West, Poland received territories that had been German, shifting the country across the map. This was not just geography. It meant homes, graves, villages, languages, and memories being uprooted forever. Families who had survived one catastrophe now faced trains, resettlement, empty houses, and unfamiliar streets again. The political shift was just as deep, because the London government in exile slowly lost recognition afterward. The new government inside Poland gained international acceptance while remaining dependent on Soviet power after Yalta. The promised democratic elections did not create the independent political future many Poles had imagined before. Instead, Poland became part of the Soviet-dominated Eastern Bloc for decades after the war ended politically. That is why Yalta became a symbol of betrayal in Polish memory and Eastern European history. It was the moment victory over one occupier opened the door to another form of domination. Calling Yalta a sale is not a perfect historical description, but it captures the wound clearly. No suitcase of money changed hands, and no single document openly auctioned Poland away there at Yalta itself. What happened was colder. A small nation's future was balanced against alliance politics and military realities. Poland had fought, suffered, resisted, and bled, but others still decided the shape of its peace. That is the hard lesson for countries caught between empires at the end of great wars. You can be morally right, strategically important, and still be too far from the armies that matter. Yalta did not erase Poland from the map, but it trapped Poland inside a new political cage. The country survived, but sovereignty returned slowly, painfully, and only after history shifted again decades later. So Poland was not literally sold at Yalta. It was traded through silence, weakness, and necessity. And sometimes, for a small nation, that can feel almost the same in national memory afterward. If this story helped you understand Yalta differently, subscribe to Between Empires for more histories between powers.